Okay, so we're going to be diving deep into healing heartbreak this time.
Yeah.
And honestly, some of these sources you sent over psychic readings,
Hmm.
soulmate drawings,
Right.
I'm intrigued, but also a bit skeptical. Like,
Yeah.
where do we even begin with all of this?
It's definitely a unique approach.
Yeah.
I think that skepticism is a really good starting point.
Yeah,
Heartbreak is so raw, so personal,
it is.
that seeking guidance from these sources can feel a bit out there, even a bit desperate.
Totally. And almost everyone goes through heartbreak at some point.
Right.
And that source you sent over, the one by Dr. Anya Sharma, she really nailed the emotional chaos of it all. That loss, that questioning everything, wondering if you'll ever feel whole again.
Yeah.
It's brutal.
It is.
So maybe that's why these seemingly out there practices have resonated with people.
Yeah.
Like, let's take the psychic readings, for example.
Okay.
She talks about a case where a client devastated after being blindsided by a divorce went to a reader.
Mm-hmm.
And instead of, predicting the future or anything like that,
Right.
the reader focused on acknowledging her pain,
Yeah.
validating her right to feel angry and betrayed,
Yeah.
and then shifted the conversation to, okay, what do you want your future to look like now?
Yeah.
That you have this unexpected blank slate.
Mm-hmm.
So it's less about predicting the future
Yeah.
and more about reframing the present,
Right.
almost like a therapist might do.
Exactly. Dr. Sharma calls it narrative reconstruction.
Okay.
How we make sense of our lives through stories.
Mm-hmm.
After heartbreak, that story feels shattered, right?
Totally. Yeah.
Psychic readings, in this context, can help create a new narrative.
Okay.
One where the breakup isn't the end,
Right.
but maybe the catalyst for something better.
Okay, that makes a lot more sense than just seeing the future in a crystal ball.
Uh-huh.
But what about the soulmate drawings? That's a whole other level of whoa.
It is. And Dr. Sharma is careful to point out the ethical concerns around those.
Of course, yeah.
Making sure the artists aren't making wild promises, but she focuses on them as a visualization tool. Imagine you're reeling from this breakup, and suddenly you have this tangible image of a potential partner.
Yeah.
Not necessarily what they'll look like, but more the feeling they evoke,
Right.
the kind of relationship you're now open to.
So it's like a visual representation of your hopes.
Mm-hmm.
Almost like a vision board, but more romantic.
Exactly. And remember, our minds are incredibly powerful.
Yeah.
Dr. Sharma talks about a study where people who vividly imagined achieving a goal were more likely to take action towards it.
Oh, wow.
So it's like the drawing kickstarts this positive feedback loop.
Okay.
You visualize it, you start believing it's possible, and that belief pushes you to take steps to make it happen.
That's actually pretty cool, but there's got to be a flip side to all this, right?
Yeah.
Like, what about people who become dependent on these readings or drawings?
Well, Dr. Sharma addresses that directly.
Okay.
She says these can be powerful tools, but they should never replace your own inner wisdom. She talks about the importance of balancing faith with critical thinking.
So taking what resonates and leaving the rest.
Exactly. It's about empowerment, not blind faith.
Yeah.
The best readings, drawings, any of these tools should leave you feeling more in control of your destiny.
Right.
Not like you're at the mercy of fate or some prediction.
This is making me think about those times I've overanalyzed every text from an ex.
Uh-huh.
Desperately searching for meaning.
Right.
What if instead of that, I was focusing on what I want to create next?
Yeah.
This is pretty mind-blowing stuff. Ready to unpack more.
Absolutely. There's a lot more to explore here.
I'm still processing all of this.
Yeah.
I mean, I can see how these practices, especially if they're done ethically,
Right.
can offer a different way to cope with heartbreak.
Yeah.
But what about the psychology behind it all?
Right.
That's what really fascinates me.
That's where it gets really interesting. Dr. Sharma talks about this idea of externalization.
Right.
How putting our feelings into words, especially to someone seen as wise or insightful, can be incredibly therapeutic. It's like by saying it out loud, even to a psychic,
Yeah.
you're giving shape to the swirling mess of emotions inside.
It's like when you finally vent to a friend about something that's been bothering you,
Right.
and just hearing yourself say it
Yeah.
makes it feel a bit less overwhelming.
Exactly. And sometimes that externalization helps us see things from a different angle.
Okay.
Dr. Sharma has this example of a client who was convinced her ex leaving meant she was somehow unlovable.
Oh, wow.
But through the psychic reading, she started to see the breakup as more about his limitations, not hers. It helped her reclaim her self-worth.
That's a powerful shift.
Yeah.
And it reminds me of what we were saying about symbolic thinking.
Yeah.
How those symbols in the readings or drawings can tap into something deeper than just logic.
Yes, Dr. Sharma talks about symbols as a kind of emotional shorthand.
Okay.
Like in a soulmate, drawing the presence of a sunflower
Uh-huh.
might not mean you'll literally meet your soulmate in a sunflower field, but it could symbolize growth and new beginnings.
Yeah.
Our subconscious picks up on those meanings even if we don't consciously realize it.
So it's almost like bypassing your inner critic and speaking directly to your heart or intuition.
Mm-hmm.
Because logically, a sunflower doesn't equal a soulmate.
Right.
But emotionally, it feels hopeful.
That's a great way to put it. And Dr. Sharma stresses that these tools work best when combined with not in place of
Right.
critical thinking.
Yeah, of course.
She has this whole section on avoiding those psychic vampires,
Okay.
the unethical practitioners who exploit people's vulnerability.
Yeah, that's a huge concern.
Yeah.
Like, how do you tell the difference between someone who's genuinely trying to help and someone who's just preying on people's heartbreak?
Well, Dr. Sharma lays out some red flags.
Go.
Practitioners who pressure you into expensive sessions, those who make grandiose promises or guarantee outcomes, those who try to control your life instead of empower you.
It sounds like it boils down to trust and intuition.
Yeah.
If something feels off, it probably is.
Exactly. And even with a reputable practitioner,
Yeah.
Dr. Sharma reminds us that we are ultimately responsible for our choices and actions.
Right.
These tools can guide us, but they shouldn't dictate our lives.
That makes a lot of sense. But I also keep thinking about those people who might not be into the whole psychic thing.
Right.
Are there takeaways here, even if you're not drawn to readings or drawings?
Absolutely. In fact, the last part of Dr. Sharma's book focuses on practical steps for healing
Okay.
that anyone can use regardless of their beliefs about psychic ability.
Oh, that's perfect because, let's be honest, heartbreak is universal, whether you believe in soulmates or not.
Exactly. And Dr. Sharma starts with what might seem obvious but is often the hardest part.
Okay.
Allowing yourself to grieve,
Mm-hmm.
not trying to rush through the pain or pretend it's not there,
Right.
but actually letting yourself feel the sadness, the anger, the confusion,
Yeah.
all of it.
It's funny, we resist negative emotions so much.
We do.
But she's saying that embracing them is actually a crucial part of moving on.
Exactly. It's like trying to clean a wound without acknowledging it's there.
Mm-hmm.
It just festers.
Right.
Dr. Sharma says that honoring the grief allows it to eventually transform.
Okay, so you let yourself grieve, then what?
Yeah.
You just wallow in it forever.
Definitely not. That's where the next step comes in. Self-compassion.
Okay.
Dr. Sharma talks about treating yourself with the same kindness and understanding you'd offer a best friend
Yeah.
going through the same thing,
So instead of beating yourself up for the breakup,
right?
you're offering yourself support and understanding.
Exactly. And Dr. Sharma has this brilliant technique where she has clients write a letter to themselves from the perspective of that compassionate friend.
Oh, man.
Apparently, it's incredibly powerful in silencing that inner critic.
Woo. I am totally trying that next time my brain decides to go into self-sabotage mode.
Yeah.
But what happens after the self-compassion part?
Okay.
Where do you even begin to rebuild your life?
Dr. Sharma has a great term for it. Reconnecting with your core values. She says heartbreak can shake our sense of self. So it's important to ground ourselves in what truly matters to us.
So it's like finding your North Star again after being lost at sea.
Perfect analogy.
Yeah.
It's about remembering who you are at your core, independent of the relationship that's ended.
Right.
What are your passions? What brings you joy?
Yeah.
What kind of impact do you want to make on the world?
I love that.
Yeah.
It's like instead of focusing on what you've lost,
Yeah.
you're focusing on what you still have and what you can still create.
Right.
But how do you go from those core values to actually building a new life?
Well, that's where Dr. Sharma gets into the really fun stuff. Reimagining your future.
Okay, now we're talking. This sounds
Yeah.
way more exciting than just moping around eating ice cream.
Right. It's about envisioning the possibilities that are now open to you.
Hmm.
Maybe there are dreams you put on hold during the relationship or new goals that have emerged from this experience.
Yeah.
Dr. Sharma says it's like being handed a blank canvas and having the freedom to paint whatever you want.
Love that visual.
Yeah.
So it's not just about healing the heartbreak, but also about using it as a catalyst for growth and change.
Exactly. And the final piece of the puzzle, according to Dr. Sharma, is taking action.
Okay, that makes sense. You can't just sit around visualizing your dream life.
Right.
You have to actually do something about it.
Precisely. Dr. Sharma emphasizes that healing isn't a passive process.
Yeah.
It requires effort and, most importantly, action.
Uh-huh.
She suggests breaking down those big, daunting goals into smaller, manageable steps.
So instead of being overwhelmed by the enormity of starting over,
Yeah,
you're taking small, consistent actions that move you forward.
exactly. It's like building a bridge brick by brick.
Okay.
Each small action, no matter how insignificant it might seem, contributes to your overall progress.
Wow, this has been so insightful.
Yeah.
Dr. Sharma's approach is so empowering, even
No.
for someone like me who was initially a bit skeptical about all of this.
I agree. And you know what's even more interesting?
What's that?
Dr. Sharma connects these practical steps back to the ideas of psychic readings and soulmate drawings.
Wait, really? Tell me more.
She argues that even if you don't believe in the literal interpretations of those practices, they can still be valuable tools for enacting these steps.
Okay.
For example, the act of seeking out a reading can be a way of externalizing your emotions and gaining a fresh perspective,
Right.
which aligns with allowing yourself to grieve and practicing self-compassion.
Oh, I see.
And the soulmate drawing could be seen as a form of reimagining your future.
Yeah,
Even if it's not a literal depiction of your future partner,
precisely.
it's about using those tools in whatever way feels right for you to support your healing journey.
This is making me realize that there's so much more to these practices than meets the eye.
There is, and I think we've only just scratched the surface of what Dr. Sharma has to offer, ready to delve even deeper.
Okay, my mind is officially blown. I never thought I'd be seeing like psychic readings and soulmate drawings as tools for personal growth.
Right.
But Dr. Sharma makes a really compelling case.
She does, and it all circles back to this idea she keeps emphasizing,
Yeah.
that our beliefs can become self-fulfilling prophecies.
So if you believe you're going to be stuck in heartbreak forever, you're more likely to stay stuck.
Yeah, it's not about blaming yourself,
Right.
but more about recognizing the power of our mindset.
Okay.
Dr. Sharma talks about how our expectations shape our perceptions and actions. If you're convinced you're unlovable, you might unconsciously sabotage potential relationships
Right.
before they even have a chance.
It's like you're wearing these negativity goggles that filter out all the good stuff.
Exactly. But the good news is we can choose to change those lenses.
Okay.
Dr. Sharma says that one of the most valuable outcomes of these practices,
Yeah.
when done right, is that they instill a sense of hope and possibility.
That reminds me of something you said about the best readings leaving you feeling more capable.
Yeah.
And in control of your own destiny.
That's the key.
Yeah.
It's not about relying on some external force to fix things,
Right.
but about realizing that you have the power to shape your future even after heartbreak.
So what does this all mean for someone listening right now?
Yeah.
Someone who's maybe knee-deep in heartbreak and wondering how to climb out.
I think the biggest takeaway is this. You are not alone, and healing is possible. And it doesn't have to look a certain way.
Right.
Dr. Sharma's approach is all about finding what works for you.
Whether it's therapy, meditation, journaling,
Yeah.
even exploring those less conventional avenues like readings or drawings.
Okay,
It's
yeah.
about assembling your own toolkit.
Right, exactly. And Dr. Sharma emphasizes that regardless of the tools you choose,
Yeah.
those core principles we talked about are essential.
Mhm.
Allowing yourself to grieve, practicing self-compassion, reconnecting with your values, reimagining your future,
Yeah.
and taking action,
Those steps feel so much more doable than just the vague idea of getting over someone.
right? It breaks it down into manageable pieces.
Yeah.
And I think Dr. Sharma would agree that even if you take away just one thing from this whole deep dive, it's that you have the power to choose your story.
Ooh, I love that.
Yeah.
Instead of letting heartbreak define you,
Right.
you can use it to redefine yourself.
Exactly. And on that note, I want to leave our listener with one final thought from Dr. Sharma.
Okay.
She says, as you heal, ask yourself, what beliefs about love, about yourself, about the future do you want to carry forward? Choose wisely, for those beliefs will shape the reality you create.
That's such a powerful reminder. So to everyone out there navigating the messy, beautiful journey of healing, remember this. You've got this.
Yeah.
Your story's not over. It's just beginning a new chapter.